Our guest is in part preacher, he's in part motivational speaker, he's part cheerleader, he's part capitalist, and in large part, he's educator with a capital E. Not only has he led High Point University through a period of exceptional growth and development these last 7 years, but seemingly through the sheer force of personality has partly pulled the region in the same direction. Joining us again is High Point University President, Dr. Nido Qubein. Dr. Qubein, welcome to the program.
Thank you very much, Chris. It's always a pleasure to be with you.
Well, thank you. Thank you, Nido. It's good to have you here. Nido, you heard the dialogue before. So, with all of these issues around workforce development and the skills gap and the kids coming out of high school and the kids coming out of college, how do we get politicians to think past the election cycle about funding what seems to be a pretty basic need in our communities?
Well, I think the politicians I know, and I'm sure the ones you know, are caring people who want to serve the people of the Carolinas and of this region. They're logical and reasoned in their approaches, and all we have to do is to inform, educate, inspire, and involve. All we have to do is to tell the story in practical ways that people can acknowledge that an educated workforce creates a wonderful region, economically and otherwise. And it really means dialogue and conversation. It really means answering questions. It really means taking our causes to them one by one or collectively to talk about the future of the region and what we can together how we can together make good things happen. And so my personal experience has been really very positive, from the governor to others, and I'm involved in private higher education in North Carolina, clearly, and I want them to know that there's public higher education, there's private higher education, and of course the community college system, and we need them all. Mm-hmm. We need them all to educate our students and create for a better workforce and a better future for America.
Gosh, you make it sound so great. I'd vote for you. I promise I would on that. Hey, talk about Governor McCrory in North Carolina. Right, not long after his election, he came out with comments that probably could have been phrased better when he talked about specifically higher education and how he wanted the output of the students more aligned with economic development. And I think we all know he didn't mean it as a threat, but it came out some way as a threat. You've talked to him since then. You've had him on campus. How did that conversation go?
Well, Pat is a dear friend, and I'm admiring of the achievements he's had as mayor of Charlotte, and now as certainly as the new governor of our state of North Carolina. Pat is a product of private higher education. He came through the liberal arts mechanism. And I think he simply was talking about something that day that caused the words to be interpreted in a different spirit than he meant. Mm-hmm. I do believe that Pat McCrory believes in his heart that we need liberal arts institutions in North Carolina, and we also need community colleges. We need to provide technical training and education so that we can have a learned workforce that can practically make things happen, even in difficult and ever-changing economies. And at the same time, there is no running away from the notion that there's a measurable difference between training and education. Training teaches you the how, education teaches you the why. Training shows you what to do, education shows you how to be. We need both. Mm-hmm. And so I think he's convinced that liberal arts education is meaningful. He wouldn't be where he is if he didn't go to Catawba College, a fine institution, and get the education that he did. And look, as someone who's been in the public eye for a long time myself, I've said some things that I didn't mean exactly that way. And sometimes I've been misquoted too, so I'm going to give him some credit for it.
A little wiggle room. Ben?
Dr. Qubein, a lot has been written about the recent successes of High Point University. Well, what's the formula that you've put together that really makes it work? Faculty, obviously students are your customers and parents of students. How do you make it work, and how have you realized all of this wonderful growth?
Well, Ben, thank you very much for that question. Let me tell you, I believe in the American dream. That's where it all starts. I came to this country as an immigrant. I had nothing. I couldn't speak the language. I didn't have any money. I believe in the American dream. I believe that you and I reside in a fabulous region of the country, and I believe that where you have a clear vision and where you frame it with a solid strategy, where you employ practical systems, and where you tenaciously execute consistently on your dreams and goals, you can make something happen. I've also found out when you're passionate about your work, when you have a clarity of purpose, people want to help you. People want to be on your team. And so what I've discovered at Hyper University, both in the city and on our campus, both in our alumni family and beyond, is that people wanted to rally behind something that could be great, something that could be extraordinary. And so we have stellar faculty, yes, we have committed staff, of course. We have students and their families who want to come forth and help us and advocate, not just help you with money and not just help you with time and energy, but to advocate the cause, just like people do for your own city. They advocate the cause. So while I'm very appreciative that people think we've done something remarkable at High Point University, the truth is we collectively just believed, just literally believed, viscerally believed that you can come up with something, work hard, execute on it every day, deliver value in every way, at every touch point, the world will notice and the world will reward you. And that's why, my friend, we went from 1,400 students to 4,000 in a matter of 6 years and took a landlocked university by any person's measure and definition and grew it to from 92 acres to 327 acres in the midst of a residential area in the middle of a city. It's remarkable. We invested $700 million, and most of it came from operating revenues and from fundraising. And so I believe in America. That's my answer to you, Ben.
That's great.
Let me follow. Hold on, John. I want to follow up on this. And this is not meant to be pessimistic at all, Nido, but how do you take your enthusiasm, your vision about what High Point University has become, and how do you make sure it's in your, the next leaders down, the next leaders down? I mean, how do you get that into their cellular makeup so they actually believe it and they're not doing it just to keep you happy?
Well, I mean, Chris, it happens everywhere. It happens on a college campus. It happens in corporations. It happens in nonprofits.
Right.
It happens in churches. The truth is, you need leadership that inspires and involves and informs, but you really need a team that can carry you through with this vision and mission. And what we've done at Hype University is we said, look, we can do this together, and people rallied behind it. And you hire the right people, you inform them, you collaborate with them, you engage them in the process, you reward. We have phenomenal faculty who are learned and stellar, everyone who wanted this educational process to be meaningful and purposeful for every student who enters the hallways of this institution. That's how you do it. So you create the team, and the team then, in their own way, make amazing things happen. No one person can build an organization. You know that, just as well as anybody. We all have to surround ourselves with people who are committed to the goal and to the purpose. And that's what we have. And I have no concern about the notion that future generations of leaders, we already have them on our campus, will do amazing things for a long time to come. Universities have a way of living on and on and on. And you just have to have a clarity of direction and a clarity of purpose, and you have to deliver value that is carefully interpreted and understood by those who are exchanging their time and money to receive an education at your academy.
John, thanks for letting me
Well, it can, I guess, tying on or adding on to the same questions, but can there be more High Point University, given the headwinds that exist generally in higher education? Can there be more High Point universities?
I mean, there are more. Every institution excels in its own way. Our institution basically said that at Hype University, every student receives an extraordinary education in an inspiring environment. We don't want to just reach your mind. We want to reach your heart and your soul too, John. And so what we've said is, we want to build an environment where people can be helped and directed and modeled by caring people in an inspiring environment. And when they do that, they'll be ready for the world. They'll be ready to graduate, get jobs, start businesses, participate in their communities, be great volunteers and great Americans. So yes, of course there can be, but there really is. Your question gives us too much credit. The truth is, there are amazing institutions in the Carolinas, and we honor every one of them, and we all learn from each other. But High Point perhaps exited an ocean of sameness in many ways, entered a little lake of differentiation, and is working very hard to swim in a little pool of distinction. And that is an everyday commitment that must be tenaciously repeated with all the energy and the effort that one can muster.
We almost need a Nido Qubein English to metaphoric dictionary. I just love the way you take those and run with those. Ben, go ahead.
The other question I kind of had on my mind is, what do you think higher education looks like 5, 10 years down the road?
It's going through a major, major transformation. On that, we all agree. And there's so much talk, and you can't pick up a newspaper or watch a television show that people are not earnestly talking about what is the future of higher education. Here's only one man's opinion. Yes, technology will take us to new definitions. Yes, the modality of distribution of education and knowledge will take new forms and will be framed perhaps differently than in the past. However, I do believe that families still want that 17, 18-year-old to go to a place where they can grow over a period of time, where they can mature. At High Point University, we say, we are in the business of planting seeds of greatness in your mind, yes, but also in your heart, also in your soul, so that you have to mature in wisdom, not just in knowledge. You know, if all you have is information, people will use you and discard you. If all you have is knowledge, people will call upon you only when they need you. But if what you have is wisdom, they will respect you. And we like to do business with people we respect. So I believe that colleges and universities are in the business of creating a practical education for people that is embedded in liberal arts in our case, and that prepares you for a life filled with both success and significance. It's not enough to just have a job, make money, and buy food. It is imperative that you feel that God created you for a purpose. So we must make the world a better place than we found it. And so that's why I believe the future will have many differences and will have many challenges, but I believe that colleges that are delivering value and interpreting that value and meeting the needs of society will be here for a long time to come. And on that, I'll bet my last dollar.
Thank you. We have a couple of minutes left, Nido, and UNC System President Tom Ross sat right there where you are and talked a lot about, well, not, and I'm paraphrasing to some degree, but President Ross said not everyone should attend a four-year university. So my question is, if you get someone in your system or comes to High Point to look at it, how do you know that they're not supposed to be there? How do you guide that student that maybe says, you know, this might not be the right place for you, but have you thought about X?
Well, first, I love Tom Ross and have great respect for him, and he gave you the right answer. I don't know that everybody has to go to a certain kind of school. Of course not. We're different people, we have different needs, and we have different goals for our lives. So the way institutions like High Point University do it is it's in the selective process. We look at what you've done in high school, what courses you've taken. We look at the achievements that you've done, whether it's in SAT or ACT testing and so on. We look at the leadership experiences that you've had, and we determine if you are a person who should be admitted to our institution. And that admission is not done because we like you or dislike you. The admission is done based on our notion that you will succeed in this environment, that you are cut out, if you will, to do these kinds of things. So we typically don't attract a lot of applicants who don't want to get a college education and move on with their lives. I think Tom's answer is correct, though, in saying that there are many ways to prepare yourself for life. For example, community colleges in our region do an enormous job in preparing our workforce. We need them, and they deliver every day. But institutions of higher learning, like High Point University, also have a different mission, and that is to prepare people for all kinds of professions and all kinds of business and service avenues. And people who want to go to college know if that is for them, and if they make a mistake within a semester, they'll know it. They'll fail, or they will be disinterested, and they'll move on to other things. But our job, Chris, is to also inspire people that education is part and parcel of every person's future.
And that's got to be the last, and what a great last word to end on. Thank you, Dr. Qubein, for being here again. Nice to see you.
Thank you.